And we are back live here on the Cowboys Report. Tom Downey, producer Chris, behind the scenes on today's show. I guess I have to do producer Chris Daughtry. I do need to be very clear on that, given some other stuff that's happened that doesn't involve us, thankfully. We'll have some updates for you guys from Cowboys training camp. A little frustrated with the timing of their joint practice today. I have to pick up Olivia, so we're going to have a little hybrid at-home takeaways with some graphics that we'll kind of import in. You'll see it later this afternoon. Evening, I guess, since it's not doesn't start till 5 p.m. What a joke. What are we doing out here? Anyway, Super Chat has come in from Noah Turner, a $5 Super Chat. Thank you, Noah. How'd you feel about Trey Smith as a potential Zach Martin replacement, even though he'll never be as good as Zach Martin? Thoughts? Well, the Chiefs are not going to let him leave. I'd be pretty shocked if they did, because they'll pay Trey Smith, they'll pay Creed Humphrey, they'll let Joe Thuney leave, and they'll eventually be off the books for the Juwan Taylor contract by the time that one actually starts kicking in. So, I think Trey Smith and I think the T. Smiths, Trey and Tyler Smith, are in position to be two of the best guards in football. I wouldn't anticipate the Chiefs allowing him to leave. I'd be pretty surprised if that one went down. First preseason game is coming up. Cowboys against the Rams. Should these starters play at all in the preseason? Y for yes, N for no. Historically speaking, Mike McCarthy has not done that. He has sat his players, especially as of late. Maybe having a young left tackle instead of an old aging left tackle means they'll consider changing their minds a little bit there. But should these starters play in the preseason? Y for yes, N for no. Steven says no. Don says no. Daniel says yes a little bit, but we'll play the full game. And I think, to be clear, anyone who says yes means like a drive or two or a quarter or something on those lines. Not like the actual full game. I vote no because you cannot lose. You can't win a Super Bowl in the preseason. There's nothing that you can do that's going to suddenly change your end-of-season outcome so much in a positive standpoint. You can have better success in week 1, maybe week 2, but you can lose that. You can lose a playoff spot in the preseason. Injuries, you can be in big, big trouble. So I vote no. Now, there are a couple guys I'll play. I'll probably put Tyler Guyton out there. Give him the reps that I think he'll benefit from. I might put all my running backs out there. I'm curious what the Cowboys will do there, but we'll see. Object Pawar, $5 Super Chat. Thank you, my friend. Is Jerry Jones setting up Dak to fail by not signing CD? Also, what should McCarthy's play calling be if CD doesn't sign? Dak should deal nonetheless. Well, it's not like you have a ground game you can lead on, right? Lamb's not out there. I don't want the pivot to be, let's give the ball to Zeke and Rico Dowdle and Royce Freeman and everyone else an extra 15, 20 times. I'm not doing that. I think that's a terrible idea, quite frankly. So I think that eventually Lamb's going to show up and they'll have a new contract. It'll all get done. It's just annoying it's not here yet. Remember, Martin didn't get paid till August 14th, so we're not even to that point yet. From Water Gaming, what will the Cowboys' record be? I think they're going to be a 10-win team. I think that's enough for the playoffs and a one-and-done scenario, which is, how this team does tend to go about doing things a little bit too frequently, as far as I'm concerned. We'll come back to our Cowboys legend voting here. Let's tell you guys about today's sponsor. That is Game Time. If you are trying to buy tickets to an MLB game or any event last minute, you need to be using Game Time. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets to your next big event. You can see the view from your seat, from your phone, before you buy. You can kind of move it around live photo style. All-in pricing shows your actual total cost up front, and you can buy tickets in seconds with just a couple of taps. Always keep an eye out for zone deals, flash deals, sponsored deals, and more for big-time savings, since we know how expensive some events can end up getting these days. Zone deals, by the way, you pick the section. Game Time picks the seats for big-time savings in the process. Download the Game Time app today over at GameTime.co. Create your account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. But again, create your account, redeem code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS for $20 off. That link will be in the comment section and the description of today's show, and in the live chat, of course, for those of you who are cool enough to be watching live here on the Cowboys Report. All right, we are back with another round of Cowboys legend voting on the interior of the defensive line. We have another round to go here. I.O. for Igor Olshansky. That's a deep cut right there, but he was fun. Brent Urban. I had mostly tried to avoid active players, but his wife said it was cool on Twitter, so I think we're going to roll with it. George Selvey, Michael Bennett, or Nick Hayden. Pick your Cowboys legend. Michael Bennett is winning pretty heavily. I think you guys are crazy. I think it should be Brent Urban because it's funny. Or I kind of think it should be George Selvey. Like, George Selvey is a really funny example in a not, critical way, I suppose, of like, remember that 1 year he had? Or like that one little brief stretch? He had 7 sacks for Dallas in 2013. The remainder of his career, 7 other sacks. Half of his production in 1 year in Dallas. And then he went briefly with the Giants and was out. He had 7 sacks, was out of the NFL two years later. It's crazy. I would vote George Selvey myself. But I'm a man of the people. I believe in democracy. Great Duke Bothers, though. Rowdy is not eligible to be a Cowboys legend. I'm not putting him in there. I refuse to do it. He is a curse upon our houses. He poisoned our crops. He is a plague. I refuse to do it. Refuse. I hate him. There's been no real playoff success since he came around. Underrated aspect of it all. Get your votes in the comments and the pin poll, I should say. I.O. for Igor Olshansky, BU for Brent Urban, GS for George Selvey, MB for Michael Bennett, NH for Nick Hayden. If you remember that deep cut of the this is our run stopping DT. It was like, he was there. All right, from We Don't Wife These 304s, who should play center, Josh Ball or Zeke? We did give Zeke a chance to win. Cowboys legend, Zeke at center. He did not win. Josh Ball, I will not put on the Cowboys legend list because I don't like him either. I guess for center, it's non-troll answer is probably Josh Ball, but I'd actually rather just put Dakota Shelby out there. But I appreciate the kind of trolly question there, my friend. Ryder Kincaid, how does Zeke, Dowdle, Lipke sound for our final running back room? Slow as molasses. That is okay, you better sign someone off of waivers RB room, which might happen, by the way. That could be what they choose to do. They cut everyone but Zeke, Dowdle, and Hunter and sign somebody off waivers. That actually would not surprise me at all. Because, I need juice in that room, man. Hunter is a fullback tight end, getting reps tight end too, H-back hybrid. The things you would want me doing with Lipke as an actual runner aren't you going to give to Zeke? Isn't that kind of the same thing? I'm fine to keep them both, but I need somebody with actual juice on this roster. Abja Pawar, why isn't Malik Davis in the starting rotation? He is very fast, has good burst. It should be him, Rico, and Deuce in the starting lineup. Yeah, but does he have great burst? I for this organization, by the way, in general, it has always been Rico Dowdle over Malik Davis. Always has been. Malik Davis ran a 4.66 40 at his pro day / combine stuff. He's not actually an explosive runner. He's got a fast runner, actually. He does have some decent short area burst, but I still don't have my actually juiced up player. If you want to argue him over Freeman, sure, okay, cool, I get it. But this, I don't know if Malik Davis is still getting a chance to be in a rotation anywhere outside of Dallas. He's been a practice squatter for how many years now? No one's picked him up. It's fine to have him as your RB5. I don't know how much explosive big plays you're really going to get. There's been the occasional flash, but I'd like to see some really big plays. Now, we will have some Cowboys training camp winners for you on today's show, the updated new version. Name a Cowboys camp winner that you have been impressed by so far. Sound off for me in the comment section of today's show. Drop those Cowboys training, or just singular, it could be multiple, whatever it is there. Zeno says Jalen Tolbert. Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. I've been very impressed by Tolbert so far. That's been a pretty consistent, repeat phrase from people who are on the grounds, everything. Like, Tolbert looks really good. Caelen Carson looks really good, as Daniel points out. Tyler Guyton, when he hasn't been sick, he has indeed looked quite good. Another Guyton in there. Please no more Chuma Doga reps. I've seen enough. I don't need to see Chuma Doga out there getting his butt kicked by Micah Parsons. I think Doga, as we'll get into, I think has been your third best left tackle on this roster. Tyron Billy Johnson, good choice there. Brock Hoffman as well. I actually don't know how good Zeke has been. I like Food Review's answer. Duke Manyweather. That's a good one. That is that's an underrated answer that I kind of wish I'd stolen for our show, Food Review. I like that one. That's good. Jalen Brooks has looked pretty solid too. Lots of Tyler Guyton's in there, which perfectly understandable. Here's today's Super Chat menu. $20 for a shot, $50 for a beer bong or a tortilla slap. $100, all three. It's the bong, slap, and shot combo. I don't have any of those available because I don't think it's going to happen. Now, before we get to the preseason, we are launching a new option for the Super Chat menu. Any $500 Super Chat, we will get a custom Cowboys jersey for you that I will wear during our live watch parties this year, and then at the end of the year, we'll ship it out to you. So it's something our Raiders channel has done. Theirs is a little bit more expensive. We'll do this one just because it's not Raiders and, maybe they're not as recklessly crazy out there. Whatever we can actually customize for the name and the number. So there are rules on that. Don't be a jerk when you're trying to name something. And we can wear those throughout the watch parties this season. So $500 for the custom Cowboys jersey. We are almost finally back to Cowboys football in what has been a very long offseason. I want you guys to predict the Cowboys record this year. What's it going to be? Preseason record, to be clear. There's only 3 games. Maybe they win one. We get to see Trey Lance play. That's actually, I think, kind of a big deal. I think he needs to look good. I see 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, 1-2. Can we get 1-2? I don't know if we're gonna get a 2-1 in there. 0-3, 0-3, 2-1 from Johnny Henry. Okay, we got all our bases covered. All our bases covered there. It's fun. All right, 2 more super chats, then we'll get to today's show. Noah Turner will tank Lawrence on another extension. I don't know. He might. He might not. This was the one where I was like, okay, not kind of allowing it to enter the final year of the contract. I think that made sense for Dallas. We'll see. It might depend on how Dallas looks this upcoming year. Is this going to be next year they're going to be trying to win games, or going to be a little bit of a retooling? Because if it's going to be a retooling, Tank's older. Does he want to stick around for that? Cowboys going to pay him to stick around for that? I don't know. They kind of drafted his replacement in Marshawn Kneeland. Or maybe they want both of them. Let's see what happens. Zeno saying $5. Saw a stat that compares Prescott and Lamar's playoff success. Both are very similar, but no one will criticize Jackson because Prescott is the QB for the Cowboys. It'd be a lot louder if the positions were flipped, or the teams were flipped. It'd be a lot louder in favor of Lamar. My issue overall, and this actually goes in both defense of Dak and defense of Lamar. And to be clear, Lamar has actually been kind of significantly worse than Dak in the postseason. It's been a real issue for Baltimore. And it's been a lot of the offense is probably more to blame than their defensive performances, which you could at least claim in some cases for the Cowboys. Look, Lamar's also got MVPs. Neither of those guys are actually among the worst playoff QBs. Do you know why? Because the actually bad quarterbacks aren't even getting to the postseason. What we're doing here is people will try to argue, you get to the postseason, Dak's like a bottom 5 of the 10 QBs left or 12 QBs left. They're bottom 5, which might actually be true. But you know what you're actually saying? Dak's a top 8 QB. That's what we're actually saying. But because we just awkwardly and weirdly change the angles and ignore the other 60% of the sample size, Well, now it looks worse. Like, Kyler Murray has had the worst playoff game I've ever seen of, like, an actually good quarterback. I've seen, like, backups, like, not play well, but I don't count that shit, you know? Like, I saw Kyler Murray be terrible. I saw Justin Herbert's team blow how big of a lead was that? Try to saw Deshaun Watson do it. You know why those guys don't get to count in the records they keep trying to throw at Lamar and Dak? They haven't played enough. They're not eligible. But if they kept doing that, they'd be even worse. They're just not good enough to make it there. It's kind of a similar argument to, I think if you get the number one seed come playoff time, I think you should get a bye. You get the bye. You should get a win. If we're going to do the whole playoff wins thing, why are we not including the free game they didn't have to play because they were so good? That should actually count. Zeno, my prediction is 11-6 and a 5 seed. We possibly get past the wild card round, then losing the divisional because we're cursed. Yeah. Honestly, I think for expectations, isn't this meeting expectations? Isn't that the Cowboys went about as far as they should have gone? Does anyone here think the Cowboys are the second best team in the NFC this season? I don't. So divisional round is getting to where you're supposed to get to, right? That's what's frustrating about the whole offseason, because it kind of feels like they set their ceiling in the process. We have the rule still in place. If we get about 10 minutes into the show and we are at the 50% like ratio, before I mention it, I do a shot. We did not get there today. We're closer. Still at about 30-ish or 40-ish likes to get to the halfway mark. So if you haven't already, like today's video for me right now. Coming up on today's live show, we'll break down some Cowboys training camp winners and losers. Later this evening, once the joint practice wraps up, I will have another video for you guys. So make sure you stay tuned for that. But the timing was a nightmare, so I couldn't get to it today. I apologize. A mailbag, 2 ways to get on the show in general. Hashtag Cowboys, or you can super chat, skip the line altogether. We will also have our Cowboys-Rams preseason preview, what to watch for and who to watch for. Coming up live here on the Cowboys Report. We are about 2 weeks, give or take, into training camp and the pads and everything, and the Cowboys' first preseason game is now rapidly approaching on Sunday. So we're going to have an updated look at some Cowboys training camp winners and losers. Reminder, it is Kool-Aid and hype season, so always keep that in mind. Winner does not mean this is going to be a top 5 player. Loser does not mean they're no longer an NFL caliber player. It's all relative to expectations and potential impact. Now, unfortunately, we are not leading in shares this month in the NFC East. I'm not including the Bears because they had a watch party. They are not eligible to be counted against until we at least get one. We are 76 behind compared to Giants now. Help us out. Share today's video, whether it's Twitter or X, Facebook, Instagram, texting it, whatever. Share today's video for me. I'll put 2 tackles as I cheat right off the bat by putting 2 players at once, and it's not the last time I'll do that either. I'm going to do Asim Richards and Tyler Guyton. Now, when he has had the opportunities to play with the first team at left tackle, in part because Adoga's been a bit nicked up and also bad, and Guyton missed a few days due to illness, I think Richards has played really well. In fact, I would argue he's probably been your second best left tackle out there, behind Tyler Guyton. When he has not been sick, I think pretty clearly he has been this team's best option at left tackle. And I don't want to do anything stupid by not putting him out there at left tackle week 1. In fact, I think it's fine to play him in the preseason. You might keep him a little bit on a lower pitch count there and give other players a chance to showcase what they can do, since you might need to trade at least one person. Brock Hoffman is next up here, the center. Look, Cooper Beebe has had a bit of a more steep learning curve when it comes to snaps than I think all of us had thought it was going to be. He's getting better. I think there's still a lot of appreciation within the building for what Beebe has done so far. I think the reality is Brock Hoffman's probably going to start at center, and I think that does say as much about him as it does about Beebe. I think it's probably a testament to how good Hoffman has looked, how he's gotten better from last year to this year. With the entire Duke Manyweather starting 5 offensive line, despite losing 2 good players, and especially Tyron Smith, but also Tyler Biadasz, there has been a lot of hope placed on this team that come season's end, at least, the Cowboys' offensive line will be better than what it was last year. So do you believe that will be the case? Will this Cowboys offensive line be better than what it was last year? Y for yes, N for no in the comments of today's show. Jalen Tolbert is next up here. It's not quite a done deal yet. He's still got a month-ish before the season begins. He going to be your wide receiver 3. He has been pretty steadily good. Not just a big day here and then kind of cools off, but pretty steadily consistent and impactful so far. He is not the only wide receiver who has looked very sharp so far at training camp. Depending on what day it is, a bunch of different receivers showing up. Some days it's Jalen Brooks. Some days it's Tyron Billy Johnson, who's probably been, of your depth receivers, i.e. not Cooks, and, Turpin's done some different things, probably been behind Tolbert. He's been pretty impressive. Got a still tough battle to make the 53-man roster. David Durden's had some good days. Jalen Cropper's had a couple good days. Racey McMath has flashed. You're going to try to get some of these guys to your practice squad because can't carry those 5 guys, and Turpin, and Tolbert, and Cooks, and Lamb. So somebody's are going to get cut. I don't know if that's proper grammar, but we're going to roll with it. So how many wide receivers do you think make the Cowboys roster? Is it 6? Can you push 7? Which I think might be a little tough for the way this team is built right now. How many wideouts do you think make the Cowboys roster this year? Over to cornerback, Caelen Carson. We did a short on this on Thursday. I love what I've seen. Every day it's like, who looked good? Yeah, people who were there. Caelen Carson played pretty well. Awesome. Keep it up. Cowboys have a strong track record on day 3 with 5th, 6th round DBs. I hope Carson is their next big hit. Jourdan Lewis is next up here. And I like what I've seen from Lewis pretty consistently, too. It seems like every day, nice pass breakup by Jourdan Lewis. Actually, one of the few guys to pick off Dak Prescott for the team drills and stuff. Knowing, of course, that not all throw attempts are created equal, and you really shouldn't worry too much about that. Hope we learned our lesson last year. But he's made a bunch of plays. I think he fits really well in this Mike Zimmer defense. Today's show is made possible by Rocket Money. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and helps cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. You can see all your subscriptions in one place, stay on top of upcoming bills, and if you see something you don't want, guess what? Rocket Money can help cancel it with just a few taps. They will even try to negotiate to lower your bills for you, sometimes up to 20%. Submit a picture of your bill, and Rocket Money takes care of the rest. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and counting. And it's a total of 500 million in canceled subscriptions. Save members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's features. Stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/Cowboys. That's rocketmoney.com/Cowboys. Link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. It's rocketmoney.com/Cowboys. Let's go to the linebackers here. And I'm just going to put them, a lot of them together. Now, they've made some shuffling in terms of who's on the roster, who's not. With they cut Byron Vaughn, who teaser we'll get to here. Added guys like Nick Vigil and Darius Harris. Your top 4 is pretty clear. In no particular order, outside of, I guess, I'm going to put Leaf out 4. Overshown at the weak side spot, Kendricks in the middle, Clark at strong side linebacker, and your weak side and strong side I think can still rotate in a little bit. And I think all 4 guys are going to play. I think all 4 guys have been impressive. This is the area that I'm like, you are better than what you were last year. I don't know if there's really a spot right now you can say that at any other position group on the roster. Because last year you were down to 1.5 linebackers, if that. Depending on how you want to count Marquise Bell and Damone Clark. Maybe it was like 1 1/4 linebackers since the weights were not very good. I think Overshown's going to be a really good piece for you long term. I think Kendricks gives you vet stability. Clark looks way better. I think Leofau could potentially make an impact. This team seems to like him quite a bit. Next up is Dak Prescott. To an extent, maybe a little bit because Trey Lance is, as we warned, clearly not taking his job anytime soon. But one reason why I'm putting Dak on here is that at least in these team drills, the stuff that's mattered, the offense has actually been able to move the ball a little bit and had some success on red zone stuff, despite not having CeeDee Lamb. I think that's a positive thing. And knowing that camp and the running back stuff isn't, you're not really seeing a bunch of broken tackles. It's kind of not a great measuring stick at times outside of just straight speed. The offense has moved the ball pretty well. I think that's probably testament to at least partially your QB. How about Terence Steele? Remember last year was like, oh man, Steele's getting worked a lot. We were talking about, Steele looking kind of rough, coming back from his injury. Have you guys noticed the way that I have? No one's really been mentioning Terence Steele. It's not like name hasn't been mentioned a bunch, not a lot of clips. That's a good thing. You know why? It means he's not getting worked. It's not like, oh yeah, Tank Lawrence destroys, Terence Steele 5 times in a practice. Hasn't really been the case. I think that bodes well for Steele, who sounds like looks more like the 2022 version of himself than the 2023 version. If you guys want a training, if you would be so kind as to name a Cowboys training camp rumor, I was going to be like, I want you, and said, if you want, which doesn't make any sense. So I want you to name that Cowboys training camp winner for me in the comments. Marshawn Kneeland, and this is at least in part due to the opportunity he's going to have to face. With Sam Williams out for the year, I am a bit anxious about this defensive end room. You're going to use Micah Parsons there. He'll rotate around. I think someone had tried to say that Sam was going to play 70% of the snaps. I don't actually think it was going to be that high because that's not how most teams rotate their pass rushers. But he's going to play a lot. He was going to borderline triple a snap count. He's going to double it at least. So Kneeland is now being counted on in an even heavier way than I think this team was going to. I'm excited to see the Cowboys' first preseason game, and we'll do some more winners and losers on the Monday after it. So don't miss our first Cowboys watch party. Hit that sub button and make sure you guys tune in. First up, on our Cowboys camp losers, we got to have the conversation about Peyton Hendershot. Banged up again with a seemingly minor injury. Had already did the same. I'm open on a seam shot, and he drops it. I think there's a real chance that Hendershot is already on the outside looking in right now. Whether it is behind John Stevens and or Princeton Fant and or maybe Brevin Spann-Ford, I think Hendershot faces a tough path to making the 53, barring injuries, which hopefully we don't get. Remember when we went through that wide receiver list a couple minutes ago, and Ryan Flournoy wasn't out there? He just hasn't been able to be out there enough due to that knee injury. Now, he's back now, but I think there's a lot of pressure on him to impress in the preseason. I still want to put down that anytime Trey Lance to Ryan Flournoy touchdown bomb. I was convinced it was going to happen, but he missed a lot of time at camp. He's playing catch-up as we move into the preseason. So name a Cowboys training camp loser for me. Drop that player name or names in the comments. Pains me dearly. Got to do it. Got to put Deuce Vaughn on this list. He has also missed time with a hamstring injury. I thought that one of the paths for Vaughn to making the 53-man roster, obviously impress in training camp and the preseason, and do some good stuff on kick returns, which I think that there is one roster spot that's going to be allocated to the number 2 kick returner, or at least tiebreakers to someone if two guys are close there. I thought Vaughn had a chance to do that because I think vision's going to matter with these things. But if you're not out there, still battling that hamstring injury, if that continues to linger, we start to get into secretly IR stash territory, which hopefully it's over soon. But if it reflares even potentially too, it's all concerns. All right, Viliami Fefeoko. Been real quiet for him, which is not a good sign either. His sponsor's gone. Dan Quinn is now in Washington. I think he is stuck. Everyone coming out is like he can play DE or DT, but he's a tweener, right? And that has really come to fruition. He's not athletic enough to be a full-time defensive end, I don't believe. And he's not powerful enough, strong enough to hold up as a full-time DT right now. So unless something changes and he starts looking way better, he's kind of caught in no man's land where you really don't want to be. I kind of feel bad doing this, but this is football. It's hard. Byron Vaughn's on this list because he's the one guy that got cut. Cowboys signed some players, and they put Sam Williams on IR, temporarily put CeeDee Lamb on the did not report list. Byron Vaughn's got cut. So that one's unfortunately a bit of a no-brainer on the loser side. It is mailbag time. Here on the show, there are 2 ways to get on the Cowboys Report mailbag. You can super chat like several of you guys already have, or you can just use hashtag Cowboys. Now, if you use hashtag Cowboys, you are in the queue, so to speak, for producer Chris to find your question and bring it up on screen. But no guarantee that ends up happening because it's at the mercy of Chris choosing your question there. So get them in via hashtag Cowboys or via super chat. There is our super chat menu. $20 for a shot, $50 for the beer bong or tortilla slap, $100 for all 3. I didn't bring it out here because I think you guys were scared to do it. Of note as well, $500 super chat this year, custom Cowboys jersey. What we'll do is you pick the number and the name on it, as long as it's not like offensive or gets flagged or anything. I actually don't think you can do like a Marvin Harrison jersey because those got flagged by Fanatics because there's no sponsorship there. So got to be within reason. I will wear them throughout the watch party this season. I'll you put in a big super chat, swap jerseys, put it on type of deal, just like our Raiders channel does. At the end of the year, I'll ship them all out, and then you have your own custom jersey, and we'll be wearing it all year. Could be a lot of fun. $500 is the price point that the bosses have set for that. Let's get into our Cowboys mailbag. A super thanks first up here from Noah Turner. Says the Cowboys would be the team to wait till next offseason and not pay Lamb and then just tag him. God forbid this deal is done as soon as possible. It needs to be done. The leaves have fallen. There's not much left to wait for unless you do something stupid and somehow Jamar Chase gets paid first, which would probably be a bad thing for you, actually. Like, just get it done. I feel like they're haggling over like the guaranteed money. Come on, he's going to be here for 3 years. Just give him the big, fat, guaranteed contract. It will be fine. He's too important to your offense once the games actually matter for him not to be here. You let Zach Martin hold out till mid-August. Please don't do the exact same thing with Lamb. It's just dumb. Another super thanks from Noah Turner says you think Taj Brooks out of Texas Tech could be an option in next year's draft class. I think he could be. I think there are concerns. Despite his really good production, I thought he might go pro last year, by the way, as a result. I think there is some concerns about his overall athletic juice and speed. He's a big boy. He's powerful. Teams do still crave athletic, explosive plays in the backfield. He was really low on Dane Brugler's list. I thought too low, but might be an indication that maybe the NFL is not as high on him as I am. These came in via super thanks. It is a feature on YouTube. It's no different than a super chat. It's the on-demand version, not the live version. You can edit your message, send in whatever you want, and as long as you're not doing an ism, we'll give you a shout-out here on the Cowboys Report. David Lopez, Dak Prescott, quote, I don't play for the money, never have, never cared for it, to be honest with you. Yeah, look to be the highest paid QB. Bruh. When Dak said that, I think everyone went, okay. I still wonder if that was an attempt at, there's been 2 different answers here. You had the, I don't play for the money, and also Dak saying, hey, and I got to make sure I do right by the brotherhood, and next guy up gets paid the most, which isn't, I don't think either of those things have to be true. I wonder if that was a bit of, positioning, publicly negotiating of, I'm not just going to take the biggest offer out there, but I do need to get paid what I'm worth. And if that's how you frame it, which could very well be a stretch, and Dak just might have been trying to fill airtime and said something stupid. Very possible. I think that starts to make some more sense. Someone told me the quarterback market was broken. It's honestly not, though. Like, how much percent of the blame do we give or put on the QB? It's a lot of it. And relative to the salary cap, it's not that figure. Also, the percentages of what they're getting paid relative to the salary cap haven't really changed that much. Like, you could give Dak like $60 million plus, and it's like a 1 or 2% raise. That's it. It's just the sticker shock, which I totally understand. So would you make Dak the highest paid NFL QB? My mindset has been for a while, if you're going to make a QB a top 5 highest paid QB or whatever, at that point you're kind of in for a penny, in for a pound, right? It's a bit of a sunk cost fallacy maybe, but it's too important to try to screw around over what amounts to a couple $1 million if you think he's the guy. So would you do it? Y for yes, N for no at the pinned comment. Noah Turner, do you think the tush push should be banned? I don't want it banned, actually. It is a football play. Quite frankly, it is the closest thing to original real football that exists. The founding fathers of football would watch a real NFL game and be horrified until they saw the tush push and went, oh, that's that. What do you mean you're throwing the ball in the air forward? This is the work of the devil. Like, the football has changed drastically. I'm fine keeping the tush push. I don't think it's going to be as impactful with Jason Kelce gone. Also, stop it. That is your job as a defense. Stop it. I have no problems keeping it. From CD Bam, which is fun ease there. If Bland, Diggs, or Lewis get hurt this season and Gilmore's free agent, do you sign him? Yes, I do. Now, kind of want to try Caelen Carson, but I think having that veteran presence and option would be a really shrewd decision there. So, yeah, I would probably sign Gilmore if he's still available, and maybe that's what he wants. He's waiting to find a spot where he's going to get the playing time, the money, and everything else that goes along with it, and kind of sets himself up for more short-term, long-term financial success. Today's show is made possible by Game Time. Game Time is an authorized ticket place or marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. And prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. You never know. It might be a game which you get to go see where there is a no-hitter that was also rain delayed or weather delayed and ended up being like $10 a pop. It was awesome. You get up to 60% off buying last-minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, etc. Flash deals, you save more with exclusive in-app deals on certain seats ahead of the game or the event. You can get a panoramic view from your seat on the app before you buy. And the Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. They will credit you 110% of the difference in your ticket if you find tickets in the same section and row for less. Download the Game Time app, create your account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but again, create your account, redeem code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today for last-minute tickets, the lowest price, all guaranteed. From Daniel, can we all go protest at the Ford Center so we can pressure the Jones boys to sign Lamb and Prescott? Try. I once told Stephen Jones to his face, don't forget to pay Dak Prescott, and then he forgot for a year and a half. So what are you going to do? From Stephen Goltz, in the early days, Jerry would make deals left and right and sign people to contracts before the deadline. Now, for the last decade, he hasn't pulled the trigger on anything. What happened? Stephen Jones has more power and more control and more influence. Stephen's the one that doesn't like spending money. Wildcat and Jerry, I think he still exists somewhere. But I think Jerry saw what happened to Al Davis. This is just my personal theory. Where at the end, Al didn't have it anymore, and there's a lot of chaos in that organization. The transition plan, the succession plan was awkward. I don't think Jerry wanted that. He's ceded power to Stephen, and Stephen doesn't want to spend money. Brian Perry, will the Cowboys sign ADT? Well, they did technically sign Albert Huggins. Does that move the needle for you? Probably not. So I would say around roster cutdown time, keep your eye out for an addition or two. From Timmy Jonas, is this the long lost Jonas brother, Chris? Is there? There's not a Tim, right? It's Joe and whatever. Or off the rails. What's the plan if CD pulls and Emmitt Smith and skips games? I'm gonna cry. I'll be mad. That's like that. That is the seventh circle of hell nightmare scenario, or whatever the proper terminology, fifth circle, whatever it is. Don't want that. Don't want that at all. That's bad. That kind of gets into the is this relationship fixable stage. I don't want to do an Emmitt Smith again. That's not a good scenario. In the end, I don't think Lamb skips because that's a lot of game checks to miss out on, and I'd be surprised if that happened. So prediction time. Good job doing this on the fly, Chris. Will Lamb skip any games? 1 for yes, 0 for no. I'm going to type in my 0 because I'm going to speak it into existence, but you guys can sound off. Daniel, what could be a trade the Cowboys make if they get off to a hot start this year towards the trade deadline? Until they address it, I'm going to look at defensive tackle and running back as the main areas of concern. Now, I don't think James Conner is going to be available, but that'd be a really good, short-term rental back to pick up. Maybe there's a defensive tackle that becomes available, but I would be searching that market, or if there's an injury to replace somebody. Abjit Pawar, is JJ setting up Dak to fail by not signing CD? Also, how should McCarthy's play calling be if Lamb doesn't sign? Dak should deal nonetheless. Well, I'm not going to give more touches to the running game. I'd probably try to get I'd probably scheme for Turpin more because he's got some athletic juice, frankly. I think they're just being dumb. Just pay him. A week from now, I hope we're live. Breaking news: Lamb signed. Thank goodness. From Dragon Rider, Game of Thrones fan, I assume. Trade idea: Eric Scott for John Ridgeway. I am down. But I think to an extent, I'm not sure how much interest there is in Eric Scott. I also think that John Ridgeway has kind of been put up on a pedestal, so to speak, of like the one that got away and he's being romanticized. He might get cut by the Commanders. Now, Eric Scott might get cut by you, which makes it maybe feasible there. I'm down. I also don't think we should remember Ridgeway as more than what he actually was and has been. I want you guys to put your Cowboys trade ideas in the comments section. Drop them for me in the comments of today's show. From CD Bam, if you were the GM, who would you trade for a good running back? Or would you trade for a good running back? Depends on good. But I'd be trying. Jets, Dolphins, Panthers, who's going to get cut, who's going to get traded. Like, I got all these extra day 3 picks. I'll flip one next year for a running back that gives me a little bit more juice. Can I get Khalil Herbert? Is Israel Abanikanda not going to be a bust? Who are the Dolphins not going to keep? Like, I would explore the running back market because I don't think you have enough right now at your spot. Zeno saying, saw a stat that compares Prescott and Lamar's playoff success. Both are very similar, but no one will criticize Jackson because Prescott is QB for the Cowboys. Look, I'll hold off on the whole rant here, but you're not wrong. Lamar has been, frankly, worse in the postseason than Dak has been. Now, he's got 2 MVPs. We can argue maybe it shouldn't have been his last year, but that's beside the point. My main issue with this stat is they always put like a certain number of games on there. Like, oh, yeah, you've had to have played so many games. And normally it's like 4 or 5 or 6. And you know what ends up happening? That by putting on that filter, it becomes, well, of like the 15 qualifying quarterbacks, Dak and Lamar are 11th and 12th or whatever of the last, since 2016. And you know that the 10 guys who are ahead of them, it's like one magical run guy like that one Matt Ryan season, or Hall of Famers. And everyone else below them, also Pro Bowlers. You know why? Because the other quarterbacks don't get in the conversation because they don't have enough games to play. Like, it automatically pulls out guys like Herbert and Deshaun and Kyler Murray, who actually had really bad playoff performances because they didn't qualify. So it's not like, bottom 5 playoff QB. Well, yes, out of like 15. Instead of being, well, he's a top 15 QB out of like the 75 that actually count. That's always been my issue. It's a framing, filtering problem. If you guys want more Cowboys updates, news, rumors, everything else in between, good news, you've come to the right spot. Hit that sub button so you don't miss out. Eli Aaron, I think we need to rebuild at this point. Be okay with it. I don't like where we're at, and at this time, it's a point where you're clueless of what your problem is with this team. You have to make a decision. You either go be aggressive with your current core, which I think, look, you've won 12 games 3 years in a row. You can totally justify adding more pieces and being aggressive. You've also had 3 straight years of playoff heartbreak. You can totally justify rebuilding a little bit. You have to pick one. You sit on the fence long enough, bad things are going to happen. Or worse, the rest of the league, your own players, your own coaching staff, they're going to decide that you're going to rebuild without them, and now you're in a bad spot. There's nothing preventing Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott from going, you know what? We don't want to deal with this. They can make it to the NFC Championship game this upcoming year, and they can say, nope, we don't want to deal with it. Bye. Now, I don't know if it's going to happen if it does happen, or if that scenario unfolds. But there's nothing stopping you because you didn't make a decision when you had the control and the power. CD Bam, last question. What do you do with Dak if we don't make the playoffs this year? Well, how does it all play out? Like, honestly, you should have, kind of this, you should have already made up your mind. Like, is this a scenario where, like, Dak threw 35 TDs, 12 interceptions, but they averaged 3.5 yards per carry, and the defense was dog shit? Well, how is that the quarterback's fault? That's the organization's fault for setting this up for failure, right? The last time a head coach and a QB both entered the final year of their contracts was this team in 2019. They don't learn from their mistakes. All right, the super chat menu. $20 for a shot, $50 for the beer bong or tortilla slap, $100 for the bong, slap, and shot combo, and then $500 custom Cowboys jersey. You pick the name, the number. I'll wear it during our watch parties this year. Then at the end of the year, we'll ship it out to you guys as well. And I will do my damnedest not to spill beer on it. And if I do, I'll wash it for you. I did just want to check out the I think the USA men's basketball's trying to crawl their way back into it. I think Embiid's played out of his mind as of late. Which, yeah. Against Serbia. Just kind of funny. All right, super chat here from We Don't Wife These 304s. Who is worse, Russo or Eagles fans? You just want to turn on the game? Why would I just turn on the game here? Crazy? Oh, shoot, I turned off the TV. That's going to freeze you up there. All kinds of disaster. To answer your question, We Don't Wife These 304s. I know some Eagles fans who are actually very cool people. So I'm going to go with Russo because I don't have any like redeeming qualities for him. So get your predictions in here for the Cowboys preseason. What is their record going to be this year? 0-1 or 0-3, 1-2, 2-1, 3-0. What do you think that record will be? All right, man, let's just see how much time is left in this game. Because if there's too much time, we're not going to screw around. We'll just... Oh, they're down 2. Oh, they took the lead with 2:18 to go. Steph just drained a 3. Electric. He's got 32 today, Chris. That is wild. Serbia bricked a 3, and LeBron got the board. Finishes at the rim. Oh, LeBron. It's a 3-point USA lead under 2 to go. Let's just have some fun with this. We got time for it. Cowboys didn't even get to delayed their own game there. Serbia drives. Dish. Stolen by Curry. Going the other way. Lays it in. This is going to be like a 20-point comeback for Team USA. They're up by 5. Electric. Absolutely electric. Braun's taken over. Embiid apparently has played super well on top of this. 5-point lead. Let's just hang out here, Chris. You guys down with that? You can hit the other ways as we go. Curry's dealing. Where's my... I got one GIF I'm going to tweet out that's very inappropriate. Very inappropriate GIF I have to make sure I have. It's the patriotic eagle below the waist. I'm gonna get that tweet set up and ready to go. It's saved on my desktop as America Funny. I got that primed and ready. Or we'll get to the remainder of today's show. We'll preview the Cowboys-Rams game here. Yes, I will be watching preseason games tonight, especially once Olivia's down. But Steph's got 34 points tonight. Unbelievable. Tweet's gonna just wildly inappropriate. Minute 35 here. Serbia basketball. They are down by 5. Oh, backcourt violation! Backcourt violation! KD stepping up on defense. I don't know any of the Serbian players outside of Jokic by immediate recognition. Oh, it was on Bogdanovic. That's a clear backcourt violation. No? I'm pretty sure that is the correct call. I don't know what this means. Like, they keep making this sign. I don't know what that sign, like, is that like the international sign for go to review? Like, I don't know. No, I thought it was this. I don't know. Devin Booker is inbounding for Team USA. To Embiid, back to Booker. And LeBron will take over point. 10 on the shot clock, under a minute and a half to go. Pick a different way in here too, Chris. Oh, Lee, FU3! Oh, he bricked it off the front iron. All right, Serbia basketball still down by 5. Minute 10 to go. They got to get Jokic going. They got Jokic on one of the guards here. That's a terrible mismatch. And they foul Jokic before the shot. All right. Minute 4 to go. This is just fun. Let's just have some fun. While we're here, how about $10 for a shot? $10 for a shot, 20 for a beer bong. How about that? Just while we're doing this. Bogdanovic has the ball. They switch Embiid on him. Bogdanovic gets by Embiid, floats it up, foul, and 1. Oh, boy. That was a nice finish by Bogdanovic. I think that was Bogdanovic. Yeah. Little ball, maybe a ball don't lie action for him after the over and back call. $10 for a shot, 20 for a beer bong. First ones that come in. Bogdanovic makes the free throw. 91-89, 56 seconds to go. LeBron will take it up. Durant has it. 8 on the shot clock here. He wants an ISO look. Durant, deep 2. Got it from Durant! 4-point lead. 34 seconds left. Serbia kicks it inside to Jokic. Jokic floats it up and gets it to go. 26.8. 2-point lead. LeBron, little touch pass to Embiid. And Embiid will hand it to KD. Back to Steph Curry. There's about a 3-shot difference between the shot clock and the game clock here. Curry by himself. drives, foul called away from the ball. No continuation. No continuation. So 8.2 to go. A 2-point USA lead. This is the semifinal. Winner gets France in the gold medal game. Bam Adebayo checks in for Embiid. I actually like that decision. That's a good decision. That makes sense. Embiid played great in the second half from what I could tell on Twitter. Man, Bron's got some gray in his beard. See that? Got some gray. He does. Well, look, honestly, he's old now. The fact he's doing what he's doing at his age is insane. Steph free throw. Got it. 94-91. 8.2 to go. Steph's got a big smile on his face. Free throw is good. 4-point Team USA lead. 8.2 to go in the game. Steph will sub out. That makes sense too because he's not a great defender. Looks like Drew Holiday checks in. Just cannot foul. Cannot foul. Serbia taking way too much time. They get a 3 off. Prickett, no good. Team USA wins. What a comeback. LeBron and Steph are fired up. KD's fired up. Everyone spam USA in the chat. Spam USA. An unbelievable comeback. What were they down again? They were down to like almost 20 at one point. Team USA. What a comeback. I did fire off the GIF if you want to see it. It's at what going Downey. All right. Someone just said you've been waiting to use that. Damn right I have been. That's pretty good, right? That's a good one to save. KD, LeBron, Embiid, Steph Curry put out of his damn mind. Although he's probably a liability on defense, it's fine. What a comeback right there. Someone also asked, you see Dak will get $70 million? It's not the first time Fish has written that. It just kind of he just did it again. Also, and there's no shade there, by the way, but like that's very similar to like the same speculation that's been had already. Like that's kind of like the point of like, well, who knows? It's basically who knows what he's going to get in free agency next year. That's all that is. I will say it is frustrating to me. The number just it always goes up every time. We're like 4 months away if he's not paid to $75 million. That's how it goes. All right, we will get set up for the final segment of today's show after a brief detour to Team USA men's basketball, which was entertaining. Get your predictions in for the Cowboys preseason record as we get started here. Now, if you want the Cowboys to beat the Rams, even though it is only just the preseason, like today's video. I still want to, let's get in the habit of this. Every preview we do, I want you to like the show. Every video we do, like the show. So if you want the Cowboys to win at least a maybe not that meaningful preseason game, like this one right now. All right, Cowboys are on the road against the Rams. The early odds actually have Dallas favored, which might have something to do with the comments on the backup quarterback play and maybe some hope for Trey Lance on that one. You got to be a real sicko, though, to bet on preseason games. I've already bet on a preseason game. So here's what to watch for. And then we'll get to some players to watch. Number one, no injuries, please. It's not fun. I don't like seeing players get hurt. I don't want to lose a key player, even just a key backup, to injury. It's a balancing act you're playing. You have to put guys out there. Some guys need those reps, even if they're young and potentially impactful. So I'm just going to keep my fingers crossed. No injuries. Nothing bad happens. Nobody gets hurt. no injuries coming out of preseason week 1. Now, on the field, the one thing I am most intrigued to see is how does this new kickoff rule look? We saw it kind of in the first preseason game in the Hall of Fame game, but that field was slippery. People were falling all over each other. It wasn't very good conditions for it. I want to see how it looks this time around. And I want to see who's back there. Because I think the Cowboys are going to want to put 2 guys back there. This is my guess. Turpin's obviously one of them. I don't know if he's going to play in the preseason, though. So who else is back there? They listed these 5 guys on their depth chart. I bet there's somebody else who gets some run, too. Because Rico Dowdle might not play. Deuce Vaughn's been a bit banged up. They're going to be all David Durden, Jalen Cropper. That 53rd man roster spot, and thus 48th on the active game day roster, might go to that last return guy. I want to see if someone can showcase some explosive ability and earn a roster spot early on in the preseason. So who you got in this Cowboys Week 1 preseason matchup against the LA Rams? C for the Cowboys, R for the Rams. More than the actual games that matter, it's a bit more understanding and less weird if you pick the opposing team because it's just the preseason. But get your picks in. C for the Cowboys, R for the Rams at the pinned comment of today's show. Next up, can the wide receivers stay hot? We're going to talk about this whole position group here, baby. The receivers have all shown capability. Through various points at camp, I'm excited to see if Ryan Flournoy can stay healthy and do something. You're obviously not going to see CeeDee Lamb. You're not going to see Brandon Cooks. I don't know if you're going to see any of Jalen Tolbert. If so, it probably won't be very much. So the young guys, the guys that are fighting for 1, maybe 2 spots, but also practice squad spots, Cropper, Billy Johnson, Flournoy, McMath, Durden, and more, are fighting for their NFL lives on the practice squad or showcasing to some other team what they can do. So we'll see what happens on that front. Number 4, welcome to the NFL first-year players. Yeah, you've got the joint practice, which will probably be as close as we see the starters actually getting some run. We broke that down on Thursday night for you guys. But there are 8 draft picks for the Cowboys. I think they're all going to play at least a little bit. Guyton, what I put maybe as a question mark, but I think they're all going to play. You'll see a lot of Cooper Beebe at center. How are those snaps? That's worth monitoring. Does Caelen Carson continue a strong camp into the preseason? How does Flournoy look? We mentioned him. I think Nate Thomas could be impressive in the preseason at either guard or tackle. Justin Rogers, can he help stop the run? I think those young players, their first experience of NFL life, there's a lot of benefits to putting them out there for at least a little bit. Number 5 thing for me is who actually doesn't play. Is there a surprise player that we thought was maybe on the roster bubble, but they don't put out there just because they actually think he's pretty safe on his roster spot? And I think in particular, who gets run at the running back spot? I don't think Zeke's going to play. That'd be kind of weird at his age and his veteran status. I think Rico Dowdle's maybe too important for you. I still think he's your best actual back on the roster, but maybe he plays. If he does play, might indicate he's not a roster lock yet. Royce Freeman, he coming off the groin injury, is he going to go? Does Malik Davis flash? Can one of the other down the roster running backs impress? Because these guys are not just fighting for RB3, maybe RB4 with the other players on the roster, but the other 31 teams are going to cut players. And those guys are also in contention for that spot. Because I don't know if the third back, if we count Hunter as a fullback, is going to be is on this team right now. Players to watch. You knew who number 1 was. There's a no-brainer. It's not actually ranked because number 10 is also like kind of a no-brainer that we'll get to. I be honest, I almost forgot to put him on there. It was really dumb of me. But look, Trey Lance. Come on. The preseason is all about him, frankly. He has to show up. He's been in training camp so far. Been some moments, been some not so good moments. Probably a bit more down than up. Maybe he's just a gamer. If the Cowboys want Trey Lance to win this backup QB job, he hasn't earned it yet. So this is when he does it. Preseason. I hope he balls out because I want to not have wasted a 4th-round pick. So be honest with me, folks. What is your confidence level in Trey Lance? Scale it from 1 to 10 in the comments of today's show. Look, we mentioned Flournoy. He's the one I want to focus in more on, though. because he is the first-year player. He did some off-season training with Trey Lance, by the way. I think that connection could be very real. I want Flournoy because he offers the speed and some size combos that the team doesn't have on the roster, the active roster, the top 5 guys. I think that 6th guy might be pretty fast, though. I want to see if Flournoy can make some big plays. I think that'd be a good outcome for the Cowboys. Today's show was made possible by Rocket Money. Who here forgot about a subscription one time? At least one time, right? Everyone. I know I've done it several times. That's why I love Rocket Money. They are a personal finance app that finds and helps find and cancel unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. The dashboard shows me this month's spending versus last month so I can clearly see my spending habits. Plus, they help create a custom budget so I can help keep my spending on track. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and a total of 500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's features. So stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/Cowboys. That's rocketmoney.com/Cowboys. The link will be in the comment section and the description of today's show. But one more time for you, it is rocketmoney.com/Cowboys. Let's do these next 2 players together. It is John Stephens Jr. and Princeton Fant. Stephens started camp pretty hot. I think he's kind of cooled off a little bit from the info we can gather out there. Princeton Fant, meanwhile, this team likes him. I think there are 2 roster spots locked in at tight end. Jake Ferguson, Luke Schoonmaker, you also could put on this list, frankly. Tight end 3, maybe tight end 4 up for grabs. Who can block well? Who can catch passes well? Who can do a little bit of both? Who can make some explosive plays? That tight end spot is a roster battle that is not yet settled. Preseason week 1, good chance to make a splash, though. Score prediction time for the Cowboys against the Rams. Normally, it's probably going to be a lower scoring game. I think like 21-17 would actually be just hitting the over there. Get your score predictions in for me in the comments of today's show. 5th and final offensive player, Asim Richards. I think he's going to get a lot of run at left tackle. I hope he does. I want to see if Asim Richards can outplay Chuma Edoga and take that backup left tackle spot. I think that'd be a good thing for Dallas if that happened. That is what I want to have happen. And, you put Matt Letzko on here. There's too many people on this offensive line that have had draft pick or playing time investments. You kind of go 12 deep. Guyton, Smith, Hoffman, Martin Steele, Edoga, Thomas, Beebe, Bash. Well, let's go. Plus Ball and Richards. At most, you're carrying 10. At most, barring injury. To defense, Viliami Fehoko. Got to see something. We're kind of out of time. The honeymoon phase for that entire 2023 draft class is over. Mozzie Smith has shown something in camp at times. Fehoko was a healthy scratch pretty much all year. Just never active. The guys that drafted him said, the red flag. Where is he? I also want to see where he plays. Is it more DE or more DT? He's kind of a tweener between both spots. We will be live for our Cowboys versus Rams matchup. So if you haven't already, now's a great time to subscribe. Let's go to Darrell Johnson, the defensive end out of Liberty, the second-year player. There is a roster spot open now along the edge rushing group. Who's it going to be? Because you're going to have Micah Parsons there, Tank Lawrence, Marshawn Kneeland. Sounds like Chauncey Golston's playing a lot of interior defensive line. Fehoko can do some defensive end stuff. Is it Tyrus Wheat? Is it Al-Qadi Muhammad? Is it Shakatoni? I would not sleep, though, on Darrell Johnson. Out of Liberty from last year. There were some traits like about him coming out of college. He could make a flash in the preseason. If someone gets a bunch of sacks in the preseason, it might be your defensive end 5. Eric Scott Jr. This kind of falls into the Junior Fehoko category. They traded up for him, but that was a heavily influenced Dan Quinn pick. Dan Quinn's gone. There's only so many spots at corner, folks. Caelen Carson is making this team. That leaves one, maybe two spots, if we include Israel Mukwam, who's a bit banged up right now, for Eric Scott and Nahshon Wright. Look, Nahshon Wright suffers from extreme Chidobe-Awuzie syndrome. He gets himself in decent position as he's so long, he makes it tough on receivers. But he can't make the play on the ball consistently enough. And he's a little leggy at times in his transitions. I want one of these guys to impress. And they're not going to play Lewis, they're not going to play Bland, they're not going to play Diggs. Guys are going to play a lot. Make some plays for me. If you're only keeping one of these corners, who is it? NW for Nahshon Wright, ES for Eric Scott. Sound off in the comments. And Mazi Smith is last up here. This is the most obvious of the defensive names, right? Because I think he's going to play in the preseason. Kind of be surprised if he didn't. Or maybe that's a good thing if he doesn't play, by the way. It might be a good thing. Would mean that the Cowboys love what they've seen from so far in camp and aren't just, staying positive for the sake of staying positive. I need to see Mazi make some plays. Now, that can be as simple as making plays as in absorbing double teams and the guy behind him actually makes it, but Mazi set it up. That's fine. Will be tough to tell live at times. But first-round pick, talking about him having to prove something in the preseason, that's not a good sign. Hopefully he shows up. All right, Cowboys legend voting before we go. Michael Bennett, 42%. Brent Urban, 27%. Igor Olshansky, Nick Hayden, 13%. My vote was George Selvey. It's only got 18%, though. So get your votes in. Man, I really think Michael Bennett's going to win again. That stinks. That stinks. All right, folks, we will be live for Cowboys versus Rams. And it'll be an hour before kickoff. Now, the Cowboys joint practice should be getting going here any minute. The timing sucks. I got to go pick up Olivia. We will have a separately filmed joint practice takeaways afterwards. I think the Cowboys YouTube channel will show it. NFL Network will probably show a decent amount of it. But we're going to sign off. We will see you guys again Sunday for Cowboys versus Rams. Joint practice takeaways later this evening.